All right, we are back in Studio K, and I'm joined by Nelson Devereaux. Before we get started, I'd love to get another name and instrument introduction for the band as well.
Oh yeah, sure. Okay, so really quick, we had Kevin Gamble on the keys, the piano. We had David Feely on the bass and key bass. We had Mike Sodnick on the guitar, and Dave Power on the drums.
Amazing. And you are.
I'm Nelson Devereaux. Yeah, that's right.
And you played the soprano sax for
Yeah,
us
soprano
today. Yeah,
saxophone. Yeah.
yeah. And we just heard Ghostwriter, Bad Dream, Lisbon, Gone, and Response.
Response.
Um, and of course, you have a forthcoming album coming out very soon.
That's right.
Infinity, which will be out November 7th. Are all of those tracks from the album, or is it kind of a mix of old and new things?
I would say. The only one not on that record is Response.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Cool.
just playing some newer jams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. And speaking of the album, which we'll kind of get a chance to get into a lot, but the first thing that I noticed was the cover art that I first, like, I saw it and I thought that it was almost like 8-bit, like a
Yeah.
kind of like digital art, but then in kind of doing some more research, I discovered that it's someone who is a painter,
Yeah,
correct?
exactly. Shun Okada
Yeah.
from Japan and paints all that stuff
Oh.
by hand. It's meticulous and amazing.
Yeah. So how did you kind of discover his art in the first place, and how did you decide that that's what you wanted to go with, and if you see any connections between that art style and kind of any overarching themes, either lyrically or sonically, in the album?
So it's not a super romantic story, but I did get a message from my brother Max via Instagram. He sent me Shun's work, and it was very striking to me. And I always kind of had thought that, when those old 8-bit games or 16-bit games got stuck frozen, that they created some really crazy stuff. And so visually, it was very striking to me. Also, the fact that it's painted and it looks so perfect. And I think the biggest thing too with the concept of like infinity, of course, is sort of these weird voids that it's like figurative, but then also you have like these blank spaces that mean just as much as the space that's filled in with actual figures of the moon and the water and the mountains and whatnot. So that really struck me. Yeah, and then one thing that people haven't seen yet probably is this 8-bit sort of addition of my name and an infinity symbol that my wife Justina actually made. It looks pretty crazy, and I think they're a great pairing. So yeah, props to her.
Yeah. That's wonderful. I was so stunned to find out that it was painted.
Right.
Like, I was so shocked.
And he makes really crazy stuff. So
Yeah.
I mean, if you feel, he's great.
Yeah, no, it's so cool.
Wonderful.
And of course you've had multiple full-length releases before this. So I was wondering kind of where do you see this album in the development of your sound over time? Like, do you feel like you've kind of come into your own as a solo artist at this point?
I think so. I think there's a lot more to do. However, this is, I've partnered now with a label, Youngbloods in New York City. They've helped me out a lot with this release. I guess I see it as a spiritual successor to my last record that was very DIY, called Bad Water. And then, pandemic-wise, I did this solo saxophone record, Zones. So that's kind of on its own, like, limb of the tree, right? But I think this is the most rooted I've felt musically. I feel the most at home right now. So it's a good thing. It's a good thing.
Yeah. And so as you've said, kind of not departing from that DIY ethos, but just being able to kind of do new things in the production sphere. What kind of experimenting did you get to do in recording the record? Like any weird instrumentation that you got to play around with, stuff like that?
Yeah. I guess a quick answer would be like just adding different sampled sounds, different. I had taken a trip to Japan last year, and I noticed right away it was the dead of summer, and it was like 100 degrees plus every day, and the cicadas were so loud. So I made a point of sampling those cicada sounds, and I wanted to build a big stereo image of like what it felt like to be surrounded by these like singing, screaming bugs.
Yeah.
I feel like I did that pretty successfully on the record. If you hear it.
Yeah.
So that's one production element. I mean, just messing around with samples and like what you can do, triggering different sounds, and so that came pretty naturally. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, today you were joined by a full band. And so I was curious as to, are you the one like writing parts for the band, or do you kind of get together with a group of people and say like, here's my vision for when we're playing live? Like what is that process like?
At this point, it's pretty much play what's on the record, so
Okay.
it's stuff that's been written by me. But
Yeah.
there's always I always have an open ear to my collaborators, and I want to give what they can bring to the party. I want to take that seriously, so I always do, and or at least try. And so yeah, a lot of that stuff is fairly through composed, I guess is the answer for today.
Yeah.
So maybe not tomorrow. I don't know.
And of course, you've kind of had a lot of experience, being on the road. And what do you think that being on the road has kind of taught you about yourself as a musician and your creative process? Like, do you ever, well, you just said that, being in Japan, you found inspiration by being in different places.
Yeah, I think in general for me, one of my big, I guess one of the things that like gets me going as a creator is being in a different place, like being in certain places and trying to capture some of the energy of a place. I grew up in Milwaukee, and there's that area of kind of Wauwatosa area that like brings me so much joy when I go back there. It's such a beautiful place, and I always leave with like so much inspiration to create. So, yeah, it fills a sizable role as far as my creative process. Yeah.
And do you have any cities that you've played in that really stick out in your mind in terms of, just experiences that really kind of shaped you as a musician?
Oh, that's a great question. I would have to say Glasgow, Scotland. It's just a very magical place. I had the first time I went there was 24 hours that I was like listening to Nadia Boulanger, like really kind of out like vocal piano pieces and like exploring Glasgow and just sort of capturing that vibe, and like that's way up there with like Kyoto in Japan, and really honestly like the Midwest to me is a beautiful place, and that's I love living here as well, so it's very special to me, but I try to find beauty in any place, and and so carry that with me. Yeah,
for sure. I know that you, beyond saxophone, also specialize in flute and clarinet, correct?
Right. Yeah.
And what do you like about each of those three instruments specifically, and kind of how do they differ for you when you're trying to create music?
Yeah, well, I think about all of the woodwinds as like these different paint brushes that I'm using, and talking winds, we can get down the rabbit hole pretty easily. But I like each of their sonic qualities. I think they're very complementary. Of course, they're in the same musical family, but they're challenging. Having a setup, having a reed that works well, mouthpiece that works well on the clarinet, in addition to the three saxophones that I primarily play, alto, soprano, and tenor, that can be challenging. The way that instrument, it can box you into a corner if you're not careful. It's very humbling, and of course, flute is just all you. There's no resistance. It's all air, airstream and stuff. So it just keeps life varied and interesting, and I like that. I need that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And you kind of touched on this already, but I always like to know what is special to you about the scene here in Minneapolis as compared to, obviously you've been able to experience music scenes in various places, but what I hear a lot of people say is that there's something kind of like ineffable about the community here.
Yeah, it's just always been very supportive, and but it's. I even hesitate to say it's smaller than other scenes because there's really so much going on that there's pockets that I have not explored and really want to explore. So I think that that keeps me going out to shows, supporting people. I love a lot of the newer artists that I keep seeing pop up on my Instagram feed, and there's just people taking music really seriously here, and I think that's cool. But not so seriously where it's like super vibey, and So, but so I love that. It's like that Midwestern vibe. So, I'm gonna be here for a long time.
Yeah, yep. Amazing. Okay, before we go, everyone's favorite question. You get to build a 4-group bill, including your group. Who are you choosing and why, and what venue are you playing at?
Are we talking like local artists?
It's up to you. You can shoot for the moon. You can be ambitious.
All right, yeah, let's shoot for the moon. Okay, so I'm gonna say first one out the gate is McGee. Would love to play a show with McGee. Harumi Hasano. That would be awesome. Let's just go down that rabbit hole and say John Carroll Kirby, and then Aphex Twin. And is that including my own? So that's cool. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Where are you guys playing?
Where are we playing?
Yeah.
We're gonna play the Hollywood Bowl.
Cool.
Yeah, that's chill.
Yeah, that would be incredible.
Yeah.
but super chill.
It would be chill, but yeah. No, you're right. Yeah.
All right. What is coming up next in your life? What do you got going on?
Sure. Let's see. The release show is at Berlin, the club in sort of the North Loop area, on November 8th. And I think it starts at 8. 2 sets of music with my fabulous band. That's coming up. And then I'm doing a tour. I will say I'm doing a tour with my friend Suko Pyramid, who is from Madrid. And we met through my brother, and he met my brother on SoundCloud. And there's like a lot of crazy, like I met him in person at a Bon Iver show that I was playing like a long time ago, and super crazy. So we're going on tour with that. You may see a date pop up that you want to travel to. But who knows? Who knows? It's all crazy. It's all crazy. So thank you so much. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for asking. You. That's basically what's happening, I'm laying low.
All right. Well, wonderful.
Yeah.
Thanks again for coming to chat.
Yeah, thank you.
And coming to play.
Yeah.
Infinity will be out November 7th.
That's right.
Super exciting.
All right.
You've been listening to Nelson Devereaux here on Off the Record at Radio K, Real College Radio.